Hey, what's up YouTube? It's Jinxley back here with a new video. So I'm going to show you how to stream on one PC and also maximize your FPS on either any game you can possibly do, but mainly today we're going to focus on Fortnite. So we're going to just jump right in. I'm not going to give you any sugar. I'm just going to give you straight to what you need to do. All right, let's go right to the scene. All right, so we're over here. So we're going to be specializing on NVIDIA graphics card. For anyone who has AMD graphics card, this is not going to apply to you guys. So we're going to mainly focus on NVIDIA cards. So the first things first is make sure you go get onto the GeForce experience. You go to your drivers and make sure your drivers are up to date. If you can't do that, make sure to go to NVIDIA's website and then manually put in your graphics card and see if there's any updated drivers that you needed to update your graphics card. All right, so for the next one, we're basically going to be going on to the desktop, right? We're going to right click, show more options, and we're going to go to the NVIDIA control panel. Okay, so I'm going to show you the best settings you can possibly do while also maximizing your FPS while doing Fortnite. All right, so make sure to use advanced 3D settings. Once you click onto this one, it'll say take me there. Basically, it's going to go right to 3D management, and this is what we're basically going to be focusing on. Basically, I want you guys to copy exactly what's going on here. I don't know exactly what's going on. I can link down a link of video where a guy describes exactly what everything is. It's a Warzone video, but basically it can transfer to Fortnite, which will better and maximize the FPS and the video quality that you need to do while streaming and also playing at the same time. Just make sure that your OpenGL render GPU is to your graphics card. That's the main key factor, but here you can guys can pause or whenever you want, just pause and copy these settings. All right, so we're back over here on the settings in OBS. So make sure to open up OBS and make sure you are on OBS 29.0.0. Once you're there, open up settings, and then we're gonna go right through exactly what you need to do while streaming on a graphics card or NVIDIA graphics card and streaming on one PC. In general, the only thing I really do in this is basically just change the theme to Yummy, which makes it to the dark theme. I don't think if you're doing the light theme or the default the white theme, I think you are a crazy person. So make sure Yummy is always the default for you. Okay. Streaming, make sure it's on Twitch. The server is recommended. If you are in one of these, you know exactly where you are. You can do this, but auto is your best recommendation. Another one that's really crucial if you do have it is ignore streaming service settings recommendation. So Twitch has a recommendation settings for their Twitch. So basically, if you're not a partner, you can only do 6,000 kilobytes a second. But you can bypass that if you can ignore it. So if you have this unchecked, and if you say you want to output like 7K or 8K, it's only going to maximize it to only 6K, even though you put it at 7K or 8K. So if you do this check mark, it bypasses the 6K and it upscales your video quality. But before you do that, make sure you can test your internet connection. Make sure your upload speed is more than 10 megabits per second. So basically this will be 6 megabits per second and so forth. So your best rule of thumb, what I like to do is whatever your upload speed is, do about half of it for your streaming. So if you have 10, make sure it's like 5,000. I wouldn't even do 5,000. I would do like 4,000, maybe 4,500 kilobytes. But if you're over 20 megabytes per second or whatever, you can maximize it to around 7K or 7,500. Twitch only does a maximum of 7,500 kilobytes per second, while Facebook and YouTube does more than that. So I would never go anything above 7,500 kilobytes per second. Let's go over to output. So we're doing streaming, right? So make sure you're doing the NVIDIA NVENC H264 kilobyte. The rate control is going to be CBR. The bit rate. All right. So this is what I basically just said is you can ignore what the streaming or Twitch's recommendation and go above the 6K what their recommendation is, if your PC can hold it. Okay, if you have a lower PC, of course lower down the kilobytes. All right, but if you have a good graphics card like any of the 4000 series or any of the 3000 series cards, you can push it. But if you have anything lower than the 3000 series cards, I would recommend you make sure it's anywhere between 5K and lower. Just make sure your upload speeds is high enough for your system to can handle it. Make sure your keyframe is always at 2 seconds. All right, so here's the big thing. This is the main thing. Presets. Presets. There's many different presets for you. So you got preset 1 to preset 7. Preset 7 is your best quality you can possibly do, but I have tested it out where yes, it gives you great quality, but it also lessens the FPS in game. Usually what I've been testing out is 6K kilobytes with preset 7, and I can only get around 100 frames to 150 frames in a game, and that's at performance mode. So I've been testing out that if you can do preset 4 with a high kilobyte rate, it makes the quality great, but it also boosts up the FPS because your system or your graphics card is not pushing a lot, or not, it's not struggling to use preset 7. So if you can use preset 4, it lowers the strain or the stress on the card, but also the kilobytes helps you maximize the video quality of your stream. So that's the best thing. It's like it's a give and take, you know what I mean? But also it still gives you great quality, like super great quality, because you're using the high kilobyte, the high bit rate. The tuning, always keep it on high quality. The multipass mode, always do default, which is always the 2 passes, the quarter resolution. Profile is always on high, and max speed frames is at 2. Audio is whatever you can do, just make sure your sample rate is at 48. Video, I have it at 1080 by 1080. You can change this to the next one that's lower if your stream is not, if you see that your stream is stuttering or skipping frames or anything. I'm sorry, if you see that your stream is skipping frames or slowing down, or even down here where it says like your CPU's usage, or even your FPS, if you see your FPS dropping on the stream or anything like that, or if when you're even streaming, you can see over here where it shows you how many kilobytes or your bit rate, how many much bitrate is your stream or your computer is pushing. If you see that fluctuating or whatever, scale it down. You don't have to do the same canvas size or your base size. So if you're streaming or your computer screen is at 1080p, you don't have to do it at 1080p. Do the next one down. It will help less the stress on your computer and also less stress on the streaming side. So stream it down, and also it helps basically. Another thing that makes it, if you see that your stream is also like stuttering or skipping a lot of frames, one thing is also you might be able your computer might not be able to push 60 FPS. Put it down to 30 FPS. I know everyone wants to do 60 frames per second, but sometimes your computer can't do 60 frames. So you might be only able to do 720p at 30 frames. Or I think it's 852 at 60 frames. You might only be able to do that or at 30 frames. So test it out and see what you can do by maximizing or making sure that your stream is running smoothly. And then also go down to advanced and make sure your process priority is above normal. By default, it's always at normal. Switch it up to above normal, and it helps with processing everything at its full potential. So that's basically what you're going to basically do. So let's head over to Fortnite, and I'll show you my in-game settings so we can maximize quality. All right, guys. So we're back on. So we're on Fortnite. So let's head to settings. All right. So these are my in-game settings. Window display is always at full screen. All right. Try not to do window full screen. Make sure it's always full screen. I'm doing 1920 by 1080. You can do stretch res if possible. I have also seen that if you do 1600 by 900, it can also boost up the FPS just a small bit. If your system can't handle it, get away from 1080, go right down to 16 this one right here, 900 or 1600 by 900. This will help also from stuttering and stuff like that, but it will boost the FPS about 5 to 10 FPS. So that's up to you. VSync off, frame. I like to do unlimited. Some people will do it to their refresh rate on their computer or their monitor is. I like to see what I can max out basically. Okay, even though my monitor is 165 hertz, I just want to see what kind of FPS I'm seeing in game. All right, so rendering mode, this is the most crucial thing. I've tested direct 11 and direct 12, and also performance mode. Okay, performance mode is always the best you can possibly do. And then we're going to go to graphic settings or graphics. Make sure everything is off low. Okay. I have the meshes up on high. That's your preferences. That's up to you. I've heard that even having the meshes high can can higher the FPS just a little bit, not much, but that's up to you. Okay, that's up to your standards. Okay, and also show FPS. And that's basically it. Okay, so just make sure your rendering mode is performance, and you should be okay. So as long as your OBS settings is the same as mine, you should see a boost in your FPS by 50 to maybe 70 FPS. I've seen, for me, I got over 120 FPS boosted by this settings alone in OBS. So just make sure you play around with the presets, and see what's best for you while you're streaming. So my best thing would do is test out from preset 7, go live for about 5 minutes, go into a solo match, check out the FPS, and then end the stream and try preset 6, and keep going until your FPS goes higher and your stream looks fairly great. I mean, it's all your preferences, but just make sure you're doing what you want. But these are my settings, and I've seen great results out of this. I've been testing heavily for the past months of trying to get my FPS as high as possible, but also making sure your stream quality is at max, So just test it out. Just make sure to play around with those presets. My preset is 4 at 7K. So just make sure you tick off that Twitch recommendation and try at 7K. Okay? As always, this is your boy Jinxley. I hope you like, subscribe, and comment on this video. And also, if you can, please go to my Twitch. The link will be in the description. I stream every single day. Especially I stream long hours on the weekends, especially Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays. It'd be much appreciated for you guys to follow the stream. We're trying to go all the way to 500 followers on there, and make sure if any of this helps you at all with your one PC stream and your FPS is boosted more than normal, please give it a thumbs up and also subscribe. As always, I see you guys in the next one. Peace out.